Afterpay is an Australian company that has become a leader in the buy now, pay later industry. But with PayPal now entering the space, what does the future look like for Afterpay? In today's video, we are going to do a quick comparison between these two massive companies and discuss some important issues that might give each of these companies a competitive edge. We are also going to look at NAB's new interest-free credit card and discuss what this means for Afterpay and ZIP going forward. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It will really help out the channel. Okay, let's get started with today's video. The best way to start is by looking at some numbers. So here are some key numbers for these two market leaders. Obviously, PayPal is a much more established company and have been around for a lot longer, and this is clearly evident by comparing the numbers. Afterpay has a market capitalization of around $22 billion compared to the $240 billion of PayPal. Afterpay has a customer base of approximately 9.9 million compared to the 305 million. Pay has a yearly revenue of around 50 million compared to the 17.8 billion of PayPal. While these numbers really show a David versus Goliath story, there are other factors that we must consider. Number one, Afterpay has been growing in excess of 100% every single year, which is much higher than that of PayPal. Number two, the customer base of these two companies are completely different. Afterpay offers buy now, pay later services, whereas PayPal simply facilitates online transactions. And finally, this video is about how PayPal will perform in Afterpay's established market. So let's talk about that. Obviously, the market of importance here is the US market, since PayPal announced that they will only be offering their pay in full service in the US. Afterpay experienced a growth of 450% in the US market last year, and the company has to keep up this kind of growth if investors are to justify Afterpay's high valuation. Will Afterpay be able to sustain this kind of growth once PayPal enters the market? Not to mention, Square is also entering the market in the coming weeks. Let's look at things from the consumer's point of view. More than 70% of online shoppers in the US have a PayPal account, and PayPal is a company that they know and trust. So naturally, it will make more sense for them to choose PayPal over a new company that they don't know very well, such as Afterpay. And since most consumers already have a PayPal account, they are less likely to spend 10 minutes signing up to an Afterpay account, especially since the service they offer is very similar. Now let's take a look at things from the perspective of the merchants. The most important thing for merchants is the fee. I personally ran an eBay store for many years, and I can tell you right now that every dollar counts, and a fee of 3 to 7% is extremely high. And I think most merchants will feel the exact same way. Another thing that we need to take into consideration is that the Afterpay integration for merchants is not free, and most point of sale systems require reprogramming. So what this means is that most merchants will have to pay a once-off fee to integrate Afterpay into its payment options. And this can cost between $500 to $1,000. And this is a lot of effort to go through, especially since you can just tick a box with PayPal and get a very similar service. After looking at all of these factors, it is definitely not looking good for Afterpay. However, we cannot completely disregard Afterpay's success in the US. With a growth of 450% in a single year, Afterpay must be doing something right. Afterpay also has a credit limit of $2,000, which is much higher than the $600 offered by PayPal. And some merchants and consumers will definitely prefer that. I've mentioned this in my previous videos, but I will say this again. Afterpay has a great management team, and I'm sure they will be able to come up with something to stay competitive once PayPal enters the market. Furthermore, Afterpay also has a secret weapon, and that weapon is of course Tencent. I'm sure most of you guys know this already, but Tencent took up a 5% stake in Afterpay in March, and this pretty much kickstarted Afterpay's recovery from its March lows to where it is right now. Tencent is an absolute giant in China. They are one of the world's most valuable companies, and they own WeChat, which is quickly becoming China's leading payment platform. While some people say Afterpay's good relationship with Tencent might lead to an expansion into the Chinese market, I think this is very unlikely because it will become a direct rival to Tencent's very own buy now pay later service called FangFu. Afterpay will also be entering into a very competitive market with tough competitors such as JD.com and Alipay. With the current trade tensions between China and the US, it is very unlikely that Tencent will be able to expand its buy now pay later service into the US, meaning the only way for them to get a share of the US market will be through its stake in Afterpay. This might suggest that Afterpay might receive some support from Tencent going forward, And honestly, I believe they will need all the support they can get if they want to compete with PayPal and fend off new competitors such as Square. And now to some news. Just when you thought the buy now pay later industry wasn't competitive enough, NAB has just launched Australia's first interest-free credit card to compete with the buy now pay later companies. We are talking about one of Australia's biggest banks here, and this really spells trouble for Afterpay and other buy now pay later companies. NAB's newest credit offering is a product called Straight Up, which charges no interest with a monthly fee of up to $20 and a credit limit of up to $3,000. Credit cards are becoming a thing of the past. With 1.2 million less credit cards compared to just a year ago, the Australian banks are now adopting this change to buy now, pay later. And I think we will see the other Australian banks follow NAB's lead and introduce their very own interest-free credit cards very soon. Guys, let's be honest here. With such high valuations, investors are pricing in a complete dominance in the Aussie market and a smooth transition into the US market. With all the information that we have right now, it is extremely unlikely that the US expansion for these companies will be smooth. While the expansion prospects going forward won't be zero, it will be significantly lower than previous estimates. And I think this was reflected in the massive sell-off of ZIP shares last week, right after PayPal's announcement. Based on the information given to us, there will definitely be some very tough times ahead for both ZIP and Afterpay. But as always, this is my personal opinion based on my research. Feel free to disagree. I'd love to hear your opinions in the comment sections below. Did I miss anything? And if you're feeling a bit sad about the buy now pay later industry, here's something to bring a smile back to your face. And that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you for watching till the very end. If you got value from this, please like and subscribe. You will really help out the channel. I'll see you guys next week.